Does not appear as though we have anyone online, at least not yet. Give them a minute because I just started the meeting, but often they're in the waiting room.
Maureen, did the couple at 9:44 say they were going to be here?
I'm sorry.
But the other couple that's coming, are they going to be on Zoom?
I don't know. Most of them just was when they dropped their applications. I really heard from them. I wasn't.
Have they sent the agenda? So they know?
I hope so. I had some agendas sent because I was remote and didn't have the addresses with me. So I don't know who saw them this past week. That could be a problem, but I'll try to send her a quick email to make sure. They're all told when we drop them off when they need it.
Oh,
That's the, what should be the process. Like in our office, that's routine, just because right now managing 4 commissions, I can't do these, they're handhold a lot as we might like to. We just don't have the staff. Not because I want to. Not that I wouldn't like the taxes under control, however, it would definitely be better if we had more applicants. If you want to get started, that's fine. And we'll see if we. Yeah.
Good evening. My name is Lorraine Stubb, and I am the Vice Chairman of the Verona Historic District Commission. As indicated in the agenda for this meeting, this is an in-person meeting with remote access by Zoom video and telephone conference. Meeting access was provided and posted on the town website for the commission members, applicants, and other interested persons to participate. For those listening, I would ask that you mute your device or phone if you are able to do so, so that we do not get any background noise. Please also try to use a handset when available. Speakerphones and Bluetooth may cause interference. When it is time for individuals to speak, I ask that you unmute your phone to identify yourself. If a number of people ask to speak, we ask that you be patient until your turn. There are 2 very important reminders to everyone participating. First, every time you speak, you must state your name and title for the record. Second, we must be careful not to speak over one another so that everyone who is listening can hear what is being said and we have a clear record. For this reason, when it comes time for the commission members to comment and ask questions about a particular agenda item before any action is taken, and then to vote on an agenda item, our planner, Maureen Tuesday, will call the roll when necessary. Also, this meeting is being recorded and the recording will be posted on the town's website. I am now going to ask that Maureen take attendance by calling the roll. Thank you.
Lorraine Stubb,
Here.
Donald Forcash,
Here.
William Sink,
Here.
Herb Watson, Pam Pethigal, alternate, is not here. Andrew Lou Millard has to be excused. And Amy Pressure, alternate, is also not here.
Maureen, can we move the election of officers, so we do the hearings first?
You can do it your choosing. I've been advised by the town clerk that they like that done up front so that the meeting actually has officers during the meeting, but you've been acting chair and your vice chair. I think in the interest of time for applicants, it would be your call, 2 minutes.
I'd rather, because we may have discussion back and forth rather than for everything. Yeah. The audience of citizens. Okay, so we'll begin with public hearings. The first one is HDC 2022-01. Request of Mark Di Loretto for a decorative cupola on the garage at 1042 Worthington Bridge. You're standing.
I am. I have a letter from Mark that you'd like. That's how we speak on it.
Thank you.
You want me to sit here or stay here? What's the protocol?
Well, just here.
Sure.
This letter is addressed to the commission, signed by Mark Di Loretto. It says I authorize Daniel B. People Valley Road, Berlin, Connecticut, to speak on behalf at the June 6, 2022 Historic Commission meeting. I am applying for a certificate of appropriateness for installation of decorative cupola on my three-car garage at 1042 Worthington. Unfortunately, I am not able to attend, but Mr. Lee is familiar with the application and will present photos and materials at this notice.
I think you already have a picture of the garage. That Mark was on.
So we ask you to.
Sure. Yep. Mark really wanted to be with us tonight. Unfortunately, he had commitment that prevented him from doing so, but he provided me with the information, and I visited the garage and talked it over with him. So as you mentioned in the letter, he's applying for appropriate appropriateness for a decorative cupola. That's going to measure 42 inches by 42 inches by 67 inches tall. Mark's research, extensive research for this, I know we did. So the general rule is 1.25 inches times the length of the interrupted roof, and it falls within those parameters of the base. It's going to be placed on the three-car garage as shown in the picture, and the roof is 12 pitch. So you get a little perspective of the steepness of the pitch. Mr. Dealer would like to use PVC sawdust blend material, which I have a sample of right here, to simulate the wood, because obviously there's difficulty of access to the 12 pitch on the roof for repairs and painting and otherwise. He's done some measurements, so approximately 40 feet in line of sight with ground level. He also took a rangefinder measurement from the level lines on the Lincoln Ridge, and it came at 3 or 4 measurements. They averaged about 90 feet in line of sight with the double line for Lincoln Ridge. Here's a sample. If you like to pass it around. I know it is. Yes, yes. There's several companies that Mr. Villarreal has looked into. Obviously, each one has their own supply chain issues, like all other products that are out there. But he decided on this one right here. I'll pass the picture around. The measurement says was explained is 42 inches by 42 inches. It comes in a range of 67 to 76 inches. It shows 67 height. The base obviously is made out of that material, and the top is a copper material, which has been critical to preserve that. Pass that top of it, he's looking to put a finial. Gonna be clear copper, which is gonna replicate that same tier that's on the top of the cupola. And this measurements 40 inches. It shows on the drawing.
One thing just came to my mind, I had thought about it before, but I have a bar and they have the other vein on it.
Yep.
We have a return house, graded lighting rods on. And they told us that we should ground the other vein
So-
that could conduct.
So the finial, and I'll ask Mark, he didn't send it along in his notes. But that's can be a suggestion to ground the finial.
So I'm just thinking
Yeah,
that
that's
could
what-
attract lightning and there goes this whole lot.
Yes.
I'm not sure if the requirements.
I don't think they have a requirement, but
I don't
I
think
would
there's
worry
larger
about it.
structures, yeah.
I'll have him consult his electrician and see. That just sounds like a cool thing to do without a doubt.
I mean, being the newest member of the commission, I'm not familiar with how we manage as a commission within the bylaws. Situation where a home is not technically a historic home, it's in the historic district. Are the limitations, requirements, the same, or is there some leeway there? You would have, obviously duplicating original construction is not required.
right, this home, I think it was 2006.
Yeah, Mark, Mr. Little said he's before the commission 16 years ago, so that probably would be, yeah. Yeah.
And I was sort of a newbie on the commission when this was being built, but I remember at the time, it was agreed that the materials be natural materials because it is clapboard side hills. So my first thing is like, I want to remain true to that because we've already got everything else to natural materials. So I can find to split it here, but then you have to be honest, like, this is not like a historic home. So. The library,
I remember they were looking initially
well, if they wanted,
for synthetic, and they decided for financial use.
they kind of on their own because to get any kind of funding, this is Berlin Free Library, which is a historic building, they were applying for state money. And there's no way the state would ever allow PVC.
So we kind of, so their bill fee was kind of,
And then they
kind
want,
of dodged the bullet on it. It was a staking and said, well,
Yeah.
do it, at least we didn't have to.
because the National Park Service standards are, it's an old building. You should be true to
Yeah,
the
materials.
materials then, but if it's a newer building, you should allow for newer materials being held. Then it's a quandary, like, they already did, like, if they wanted natural materials in this house.
So for 10 historic house, you should use the right material. It was built with the idea that it's going to fit in the historic district, be made out of natural materials, and then the improvements should be made out of natural materials. We gave somebody a hard time last spring because they wanted to use composite roofing on their boards, ceiling boards, and we said no. So I think this is a similar case.
Okay. Yeah, Mark, I just don't understand that was just the
And
hazard of getting up on the roof.
there's no excuse.
Yeah.
If he wants to do it, it has to be.
Totally understandable.
So I'm just curious, and I certainly was not aware of that. Was that actually, that statement that natural materials was used, was that actually part of the thought of the food construction plan?
Well,
No, for this house in
no,
particular.
that's what Maureen has the file.
The rules, yeah, it's correct me if I'm wrong. But the rules in the historic district really don't make any differentiation between new construction and, or newer construction and historic construction. Other than there is some language about if you were building a new home, that the design must be approved and acceptable for historic purposes. Characters. And I don't recall, and there's something about whenever possible, it's national period appropriate materials. So there are some, the problem is there are some homes that were built in the 70s. And then the historic district was created, so we have to, so we always get that question, well, this house had room inside it. It's a historic district, and that was sort of prior to the formation. Yeah. So it was built prior to the formation of the historic district and wouldn't be allowed. Yeah, so unless you can make an argument that a raised ranch is historic, it's not a problem. You probably wouldn't be able to build a raised ranch regardless of what you historic district.
I remember at the time when this was being built, and I was kind of new to the commission, so I was connected to the league. And I remember after this, there was a lot of criticism in the neighborhood because they wouldn't, community would have preferred to see the colonial or Victorian house. And but other members saw this as like anything historic. I think it was described as French country, something style.
Is Martha the original one?
Yes.
Yes, yes.
Yeah. And it's a beautiful house.
Oh, it is.
I can't remember if the commission said it has to be natural materials.
It's a little hard to look together, but so that's just appropriate as it says the conditions in the back, but on the back it's just the same thing. So I think that was the conditions because it was done by Commissioner Pepperell, so it's she probably works. with that one. So she was clerk. Yeah.
I know she was in contact.
The description they use for the style.
And this is just the exterior because it's the wooden clapboard, natural stone trees. I think they came to
Not
us
much
really with
Yeah, it's not a-
the idea that they would use natural materials.
This isn't a criticism, but it looks like it's made out of PVC board. It doesn't look like it's made out of wood.
That right there.
I'm sorry, this or the.
That looks like it's made out of PVC board.
They do, Mark says they do offer in cedar, which he would say like, not his preference
Okay.
for obviously.
The idea is we don't want to see the bridge turn into plastic.
From the notes, it sounded like perhaps not really hard over his choices. Material, just for the supply.
Yeah, I think it was just, I was talking about just.
Yeah,
mitigating
would
factor.
prefer, I presume.
Yeah, he would prefer, yeah, obviously with the 12 fix to get up there,
There's good with painted wood too.
yeah, exactly.
But it's important. There are goals and objectives, and we'd like to.
You know, obviously still taking Cedar, anything else about the parameters of it that questions other than going to go with taking Cedar.
You're saying that the addition of the cupola itself.
Yes.
Is
Yeah.
that within, was your, it's recently written, Sheriff? That's possible.
This was built in 2006. I'm trying to pull up the minutes of 2006, if that'll help. If you don't want them, that's fine too. And I'll abort this project.
And it does have a nice, I think it has a nice. Oh, yeah, this door, it's over 7 years ago. When I tried it.
Huh?
Oh, really? Why is it tilted? That one is built. Gravity hole.
Yeah, well, no, it's attached to the roof deck. Which is not terribly, I mean, back then. It's fairly substantial. So.
But in terms of general,
Mark, are you the contractor?
No, I'm just a friend. Yeah, I know, kind of followed you through the process. Still a lot of research. So wanted to be here tonight. He's really excited about the prospect of how to add to the aesthetics of the garage.
And the garage is kind of behind the house.
Yeah, to the side. Yeah.
Where you would see it walking on the sidewalk, but if you're driving,
Yeah, it's
you
kind
know,
of tree line.
because
Yeah.
it's up on the hill, it's road.
Yeah, I didn't realize how far it up until we used the Raven Fighter. The lights not how far it is up on the road.
Here's the minutes. In the English cottage style, the front of the house would have natural stone material, wood clapboards and copper flashing. There'd be masonry fireplace in the rear with blue stone cap with 4 legs. The south side, 3-bay garage. Blah, blah, blah. The house would have wood clapboard windows and raised panel shutters. No synthetic material would be used on the front of the house. The home would have professional landscaping. Blah, blah, blah. See, fast forward. Question about the 3 windows, suggested Peniment heads. Frieze boards would be 8-inch, corner boards, rake boards would be 5.5 inches. And then I'll go to the deliberation, hopefully.
Not specifically.
No.
Yes.
The free, no, it doesn't, and not in here. It may say it within the application at that time. Application is pretty specific.
But the concession. Sure, not an expert. I understand for new construction, for the wood business, some of the ceramic based paints,
Yeah.
they're good for 25.
Yeah.
So the maintenance,
Yeah.
safety aspect, 45-degree pitch, that might be something, especially for such a small structure,
Yeah.
even if it's $150 a gallon or
Yeah.
something.
Worth it.
Yeah, I'm sure that wasn't $150.
Try to offset the cost of the AZAC.
All those cedar's expensive, the AZAC is.
Why not pick up mortgage and these things? Yeah, water. No, no, that's a great idea. Thanks for the suggestion.
Have more questions?
And this is the discussion of the action on this, right, back in 2006. So again, it's basically just what you read.
No, I mean, maybe if there was any debate, like, it's not.
Right.
But I see where they came was, wanting on the street. So do I have a motion to close? sounds like.
Approving the additional
So
approval.
you actually need to close the public hearing, just, oh, you did? I missed the vote. Sorry, I was busy. Okay. Sorry.
Lorraine, I'm just
Behind.
interpreting that as the approval itself is approved in location, but the material construction would be the secondary choice, which is cedar instead of cedar.
So Donna's made a motion, do I have a second?
Second.
Second, Stan. So your approval is approved.
All right, so cedar and we'll make it white.
And I believe you get a certificate from Maureen's office.
Okay.
Or do you-
Okay,
You'll get it in about a week.
all right, so you sent it in or you just pick it up?
No, I'll send it.
And you can to the building department for that.
You know what, I'm not sure if he's done that yet. I think he was waiting.
He wouldn't have gotten his
No,
permit
because he
from
needs
that,
to- yeah, he
I wouldn't
needs
have
to
signed
do-
off.
yeah.
I'll-
When I give you a file, then that's how we know about it. That you can, like, just-
He knew to apply first. I'm almost
I think
positive
he
he
knows
was,
to get a building.
Yes, he does.
Okay.
yeah, he'll make it.
Yep.
Okay.
All right, thank you very much for your time. Thank you. All right, have a good night.
Thank you.
Take
Good
care.
to see you. So the other applicants did join the meeting. It's not their turn yet, but they did join, just so you know. Mhm.
Oh, you're.
Oh, I thought it was.
Anyway. Oh, no, you're next.
Nice.
I thought it was next.
Again, like you use that rhino.
The Rhino Shield, yeah,
Yeah, how do you like it?
it's okay. It really
It's
depends on the
okay.
installer. So I've got some missing spots, whatever, but
Oh,
it's lifetime warranty.
That is the ceramic.
Yeah, it's
Right,
ceramic
it's
what you're talking about. It's
like
life-
what ceramic.
yeah, lifetime warranty and warranty transfers to the next owner. So actually adds value to the house.
It's anything different.
and does it matter, like if the contractor is out of business, it's like Rhino Shield?
It's Rhino Shield warranty.
You know,
Every book that came in with the book, done all of Robert Kraft's houses, they've done places in, I asked them about the, how's it gonna withstand all this weather, they've done it in the desert, they've done it in Arizona, they've done it in Boston, so.
because I think your house, and there's another one, on Sarah Road. I think they're both.
Oh.
And just out of curiosity,
That was about 20 grand for just the house.
not being that it's supposed to.
For paint. So it was told to me as it'd be about 11 grand just for the house, and I have to redo it every 8 to 10 years.
Well, our next hearing is HTC 2022-02, request of Joseph Cullen for roof replacement at 1121 Worthington Bridge. So explain your situation.
Yeah, so the roof, I got pictures of my house now, and what I selected as a color scheme. So I bought the house 2016 in February. Bought it on a foreclosure, so I bought it from friends in Perryville that- and they told me that they had just replaced the roof when the house was under contract, and then the previous person who wanted to purchase the place backed out of contract. They said they spent about 35,000 replacing both the barn and the and so it was probably, it was that way for a year before I moved in. Now, around the chimney structure, it's been leaking, it's been destroying the interior walls. Plaster's falling off the walls. It's right behind the kitchen. But brought in, what's his name from CT Chimney. He was the successful brother, I think, in the company. to see if it was just a flashing, an issue of flashing in the chimney. Went up, inspected inside in the attic, put one there, inside, some binoculars. On the road. So the flashing was intact, flashing was in good shape, was bent properly, whoever installed it says that it's skillful, use the right kind of caulks or seals, see it's the white caulk or something, so you know, chimney was pointed correctly, so he suggested that I replace the roof because the flashing was like, it's, good shape. He said that also I would have a hard time trying to find someone who would actually go up there because it's so slippery with the cedar shingles. We'll probably end up going afterward. Called in these guys, they're A1 roofing around the ground turnpike actually on the street. And they said that they would like to not want to repair a cedar roof either. So,
Not to disagree with you. The danger is opening it on as much as it is to replace it with asphalt. I mean, I could put asphalt right over shingles.
No.
Sheathing.
Yeah, they're going down to the sheathing.
I mean, so they're incurring some. Anyway, sure.
Well, the difference is when you take off a roof, you don't necessarily have to stand on it. You basically, if you've ever seen it done, it looks rather like an oversized ice cream, but you start and go under the shingle,
Yes.
basically rip them
And
off.
if footholds
So then-
require damage.
So then as you go up, you're not standing on the material you're ripping off.
I'm just thinking I wouldn't want to take it off. Because of that.
So did your flashing expert actually go up on the roof?
No,
Okay,
just
it
did his
go up
assessment from the ground.
And you're right, if you had mentioned a lot of curling as well,
Yeah, so the
it
shingles
seemed
are
to
curling
indicate the
out.
root cause of that was direct application to the plywood.
Yeah, that's.
Yeah.
Well,
We
and
know
also not,
experience.
and not spacing the shingle. The shingles had to be spaced a quarter of an inch apart
Okay.
on the roof because cedar shingles swell and contract and swell. And if a lot of contractors that don't know what they're doing will butt the shingles up, they get wet, they swell, and the wood has nowhere to go and they curl. They buckle up.
So they're curling, they're splitting, finding them on the floor, around outside.
Just to give the others some background. I hate to see like this was a roof because this house was done with by the late Dwell. He's a really outstanding restoration person. He brought this house back from ruins on that. And the roof he put on when it was replaced, it was 45 years old. And if it's done properly, they last a very long time. And I remember when this was in foreclosure and it was kind of back and forth and everything, and then they asked if they needed a COA. And because they were doing wood, it was considered like for like. But I talked to the contractor at the time and I said, yeah, I'm just nervous because unless you're gonna do this right, it could be a disaster and everything. And he assured me that things were before and everything. And granted, I'm not an expert on this, but I don't think back then we had anybody else going with this guy. And I don't know if it's even our purview to like oversee a job when it's something going through us. I know, but I feel like I wish we could have hired somebody to oversee.
I know it's like when people ask you for a recommendation for a contract. There's some people really would hate to see the hire.
I was so concerned because, Pam has a good roof and she had to do it right away because it was done massively wrong and they had catastrophic flooding.
And the problem here is the general really has no legal recourse to go after either the previous owner or the previous installer for shoddy
Well,
workmanship.
I
because-
did.
Want the house as it is, no contract, no warranties.
I still had the name of the guy, so I called him up. And I wasn't able to talk to him directly, I talked to his partner. And then he said, he seemed very nice on the phone, but he's probably just choosing no one. And he said, well, I'll have his name, call you back. He said, yeah. So he doesn't want to touch this, I'm sure. So that's where we're at. And I know Pam recently told me her son, who was a roofer, and I know he's in Pam's house, which is about this size. Then to redo a roof now would be $100,000.
Yeah, I was just gonna say, it's pretty cost prohibitive for the cedar right now. I would love to keep it for.
I just bought a square and a half, with cedar, we split them, but a couple of flat replacements. Under the condition. But I had to take 3 courses of the old cedar shingle block in order to properly apply a sidewalk. And we were going to start with full shingle replacement and a square and a half, $15
Certainly, certainly.
And those are sidewalk shingles that are wood roof
Last
shingles.
50 years because we went with ceramic paint and never have to worry about it again. You say, well, it's a 50-year roof. Type of thing. We'll be an old man by the time I have to worry about that. But then when you look at a 6-figure price,
Yeah.
kind of takes fortune to gleam off that.
Now, you didn't mention that, because I asked you in an email, is the barn leaking too?
The barn's fine. It's really the area around the chimney in the house and blowing. That's,
So are you leaving the barn?
I'm gonna leave the barn for now. But this is all I can afford at this point.
Because that barn is very historic, because one of the first airplanes ever.
Oh, yeah.
was great there. So. I'd like to keep
Oh,
that as a-
really?
All right, well, one of the benefits of a barn too is they generally are fairly well ventilated, whether you want them to be or not. And so you don't have the same issue with the shingles not drying up because the air, whatever the temperature is outside the roof is the same temperature under the roof. And they're saying for the humidity pretty much.
If they put wood shingles on plywood, it's gonna be the same.
Eventually.
Yeah, it's not as urgent because I don't live in one.
Can you tell if that's what they did? Like when you go in your attic, can you see the big plywood?
It's just regular OSB sheathing with, I don't know if there's a barrier
You should
between.
have
The
like
sheet
this
good, though. The
light
sheet.
blade.
Something.
Yeah.
You're not, that's not for you
They
install.
do. You can, no, never done it, but you can apply barriers. That will give you moisture path, moisture relief path. But Tyvek is there.
Or
I'm talking stuff that would be in the 90,000s. To truly get some airflow. It would be very unlikely.
thick felt material in the barn. Look like it's probably used.
Asphalt, don't do it. That's what I've seen.
Yeah,
That's-
it's
that would be
saturated.
bad too.
Yeah.
So,
I think the only thing that's acceptable is one sheet of ice and snow at the eaves, and then everything else should be spaceborne.
Yeah, so the lath, the space boards, they didn't bother repairing them, but kind of damaged. See, they just put sheathing over that. And that sheathing's right on top. That's what I described.
Wood shingles don't last quite as long as they used to anyhow, because that's the thing.
But try to choose a color. This is the, I think the
But
pictures.
we have no say.
Oh, okay.
We
Yeah.
can recommend like.
No, but we appreciate the fact that you're
Sure,
trying
it's,
to
you
go
know,
with something
driftwood,
that
it's got, you know, different color variations in it. If you look at the other pictures in there, I'm trying to make it look like it is now. It's a composite, you know, asphalt style.
Color, but now it's just. Starts with tan. Tan looks pretty good in the front. I don't think it.
I was just saying that because I really was leaning towards the tan.
So take a look at Ciar's house. It would be, I don't know.
Blue
the
house?
houses.
Is there?
It's 2 houses down. There's ours, Tony Strain's home,
Yeah,
and then the next home.
it's tan, right?
Yes, it's tan.
And they put a tan.
They just redid the entire, they had a tree.
Oh, yeah.
The structure 2 winters ago.
I thought the tan with the fresh cedar.
No, not our, oh, you might want to take a look at it
Well, it's
because
yeah.
I found the tan looks pretty good in the book.
You've already put down the closet on materials.
Oh, so not only the you've actually, the color has been ordered.
Yeah, they're waiting, they're gonna start tomorrow.
Well, I hope they get running.
It won't be a permit that fast.
No, it's
Just warning you. If a permit can't be processed that quickly. If a decision is made tonight, a building permit can't be issued within a day. We just don't have the staffing to do that.
Did they file for a building?
not yet, no, everybody's waiting for this.
So is there precedent for this type of thing? I mean, I realize the financial implications are huge. I just want to go.
Well, this is like outside the meeting house, this is the only. Right. So it's the first time we've had. So,
Well, I can tell you ours is, you can tell that, you can see the plywood sheet. Must have predated OSB.
Mhm.
But you can see both the outbuildings and the outbuildings as well as the house attic. At some point in time, they must have had a similar challenge and decided that was the push asphalt. I would say based on the intuition, didn't predate the historic district that was closed, because I'm about ready to replace the shingles. So they probably got 40 years on it.
okay, so have we asked all the questions? Because once we close the meeting, we can't. We can't ask those questions.
Well, are we, so
So
we're more or less
what we do is
obligated to
we
approve.
close the hearing and then we discuss it. And then we make a motion to. So do I have a motion to close the? Close?
I know
Did
you.
I do it? I wouldn't need to. Susan was.
I know what you meant.
Okay,
I jumped out before you got that thing.
do I have a second?
Okay.
Okay, so I reveal. Personally, you're stuck.
I think ideally, in an ideal world, it'd be nice to say it's existing sewer, that's with our current. However, the financial constraints of forcing the, I don't know, that's just to say consider. But financial constraints of forcing, frankly, spending 6 figures on a roof. Rather onerous. I know I would just for the most stuff. Like forcing people to spend tons of money on construction. And of course, all the time black. Because it's- So we can't afford to pay it.
Everybody else has asphalt shingles.
I know when we replaced our roof that we moved in, we didn't buy it as is, we got a similar situation, almost. Where it's just absolutely. Absolutely. I briefly considered, oh, wouldn't it be great for cedar shingle on this 300-year-old house? Appropriate, cool. Place.
And wood shingles are not the same. Quality of Williamsburg can't put wood shingles on their building. And to put on fake concrete because of the fire. If you have a fireplace, you have wood shingles.
I hadn't thought of that in your insurance company. I don't know if they would have anything, but they might.
Yeah, they
They
do.
might decide to raise your rates.
They have fire treated ones, but still.
Yeah, but I understand the fire treatment is only good for about 10 years.
Yeah, and only if it's done appropriately and right. It's not something you can just spring on.
Although I do think that your flashing guy can't give you an honest examination unless he gets up on the dam.
Mhm.
And somebody could come in and fix your flashing problem, but that doesn't solve the problem for growing shingle, and finding pieces of shingle there. So I have to say that your immediate problem, if you were counting your pennies and don't want to spend 10 or 15 grand or whatever it's going to cost you for your new asphalt, it's probably good with somebody that was willing to work on wood shingle. It's not that hard to work on wood shingle. You have a ladder with a hook on it. You put the ladder on the roof and turn it over against the eaves, climb up the ladder. You know, a real good contractor that has experience in doing that. Isn't this the worst? Yeah. Picture flashing your week, but it doesn't solve the levels of what they got.
It's good to know it's actually kind of like.
Okay, so,
Yes, that's.
close this now. We discussed this, now we have to close it.
No, you just have to entertain a
Oh,
motion,
motion, that's fine.
just entertain a motion to,
Okay.
for a decision.
Do I have a motion to approve the work replacement asphalt shingles as presented?
Make a motion to approve the asphalt shingle.
On the house.
On the house.
Yeah, on the house. Because it wasn't clear. Okay, is there a second? All those-
Come back when the bone starts.
I did put both structures on there with hoping that this would go to the next one when I can afford to do the barn as well. But that right now, the site is, you know, a box.
My fault. It doesn't leak. The snow blows in, rain blows in because the slants are not wide. And what it is for the second floor is as. So see that the water, I don't worry about it. It dries up as quickly. It's not a tight. That's right. Absolutely not.
Maureen, so goes and gets a permit tomorrow.
Mhm.
We'll apply for it tomorrow.
Yep.
And they'll have our approval when he goes in.
Did they send it to me? All the permits come through my office, no matter what it is. You generate a review, anything you have,
Okay,
it
we-
comes to
we'll
me,
take
so
care of
then I take care of it. Don't worry about it. It just comes through
But
me
you
from the
get-
building
Get a
department.
certificate.
Okay.
That is usually, you actually get that piece of paper after, usually I dealt with the building permit quite often because it's paperwork.
Good luck with it. That is where someone knew it. It's like
Thank you.
the windows. the
Next set of
are-
windows, I still have to get those refurbished.
It's tough, but they're nice. to-
I built a steam box to do the windows myself.
Yeah.
And that stuff
I
is
remember you did one of the
petrified.
sign.
Yeah, I put my hand up pretty badly.
Well,
It sent me a
you-
letter the next day and I was like, "Ah, it's in my hands."
They're proper respiratory protection. It's air and clock outside, but that's all.
It's just like, it looks like one of the kids with glazing in the windows is exposed to the weather.
Yes,
There's no storms out there at all.
interior swaps.
Yeah, waiting for glazing.
Right now.
It's a short life, definitely.
Yeah,
I
I
was
was
waiting
waiting
to see.
when I bought my house. I had stone windows. Very interesting things. Stone windows provide almost as much R rating as. Really, I was really shocked to read that.
Yeah, I mean, they say it takes almost a
Somehow.
lifetime to read the rest of them.
Somehow I don't believe that's true.
No, I mean, the
I
quality,
watched
the quality of the stone is something to do too. Airtight.
Yes.
We have another
Oh, yeah.
person waiting.
Yeah.
I repeat one of the color ones.
Sure.
Thank you. Good luck.
Okay,
Thank you.
yeah, because I don't have color copies. Thank you.
Hello.
So can I just add, I noticed during the deliberation, I just went to the regulation, and there is that room for variations, which include other unusual circumstances where by reason of topography or because of other unusual circumstances, strict adherence to the standards would impose exceptional practical difficulty or undue hardship on the applicant. The commission may vary or modify its standards. So it was mentioned the 6 figures, that would be extra, I would think extraordinary. I can't speak for the commission, but I just wanted everybody to be a little comfortable
Well,
with
in
the.
my humble opinion, 6 figures for a roof is so.
And I'm not, I'm not on the commission. I can't have the opinion.
So the other applicant has joined online, and I'm sorry for any confusion of him getting online.
Or whether he realized or not that he had to join at this point. So
Here he is.
Can you hear us? Can you hear us?
Yes, I can hear you all. Can you all hear me?
Okay, sorry for the long wait. Okay, the next hearing is HDC 2022-03. Request of Ross and Sarah Pollock for fencing, and it says replacement windows, but we said no to the windows. We're just talking about a fence at 944 Worthington Ridge. So in the record, he had just asked our opinion about windows. He wasn't applying for window replacement at this time.
And just for the record, because of the back and forth of the conversation, I included the windows in the notice in case it was rolled into, so that he wouldn't have to return necessarily. So that is now, I guess, eliminated from the part of the proposal.
Oh, the other thing was, he and I had talked about fences. He changed his.
I wouldn't have asked for a new application. We would mark up this one.
Oh,
It would be the same application modified prior to being heard. I don't think I put the material in the
and he said-
legal, but the material still is the main subject of your conversation usually. So materials often change at an HTC meeting.
And he sent a link to a picture of what he wants.
I'm gonna try to get that.
Is there an example of this fencing?
It's 2 styles of fence.
Oh, I don't have it.
Okay. I think it was,
We'll let him explain it, but that's the figure is primarily. Russ, do you want to describe your project?
Sure. So it's going to be a fence that is in our side yard and sort of backyard. We have the corner lot on Worthington Ridge and Hudson, and we would actually still like to do the vinyl. I know there was some back and forth between vinyl and wood, but we would still prefer to do the vinyl. It's going to look a lot like there's a house at 812 Worthington Ridge. It's going to look exactly like that one. So it's going to be picket almost all the way around the yard and only some 6-foot privacy towards the back. It would just run along the back side of the house along where the patio is. So that would not be visible from the street. The only part that would be visible from the street or the sidewalk would be at the very front of the house, and that's going to be about 17 feet back from the sidewalk.
I can pull up a picture of what number, 812 you said?
Yes.
Oh, I don't think it'll be on this picture, actually. No.
I'm not sure if there's a way I can share my screen and that way I can show you what the fence looks like.
Usually there is. Hold on 1 second. So, this is 812. When did 812 put the fence up? I'm not seeing a fence at 812. Oh,
Yeah, facing around the road.
okay, let's see if we can get there. Oh, there it is. Let's see if this is what I'm sharing. It is not. There's,
You're pretty good navigating this.
I'm getting better. Practice makes perfect. So is that what you were going to share, Mr. Pollock?
Yeah, it's pretty close to that. That was that's the exact style that we're looking to get, yes.
Do you still want to share your screen? You can feel free if you'd like to. You should be able to share yourself.
Okay, let's see, so.
If it won't let you, that's fine too. I'll do my
No,
best.
yeah, it won't let me.
Oh, okay. I'm sorry. Usually I don't have a problem with that.
No, that's okay, but it's gonna look, yeah, that's the exact same style that we're looking for. So that picket is gonna be around the front, the side, and about half of the back. And then the privacy part would just be a little bit of the back by the patio and the driveway.
Anyone want me to go back to their screen, or what would everyone like to be looking at?
You have his application in front of you. And it doesn't look like we have anyone else online anymore.
Mr. Pollock, may I ask your reason for choosing the vinyl? I mean, I could guess, but
Number one is durability. That's the primary one. The other thing is actually less expensive than wood.
So I think you're talking about a pure vinyl fence, not like PVC or those composite materials. Can you hear me?
Did you hear the question?
No, not, it
Oh.
kind of came in and out.
Oh, what you're talking about is regular vinyl, not like a PVC or one of those composite materials that are more durable.
It's called vinyl. I don't know if there's anything more specific than that, to be honest with you.
I think
can
it is
look, but-
PVC, but it's not the PVC composite. which is what you might be
Because
thinking
that's
of.
very
This is
expensive.
pure
Yeah.
PVC, similar to plastic windows. Gutters.
Vinyl fencing, I'm familiar in terms of cleaning.
And it turns yellow and gets moldy. Yeah, I'm thinking like if we must have approved this, but I can't tell about looking at this, the way it was really vinyl. But maybe because it wasn't that visible from Worthington Ridge, kind of in the backyard. We try to be consistent here, but I don't remember the details of the steps. I do remember in the decking, we made them do wood balusters.
Just speaking candidly, that walk along the bridge, it's right next to the sidewalk.
In fact,
Plastic would look very plastic.
in fact, I remember they, rather than windows facing.
And they kept the original windows on that side and up front.
Can I interrupt?
For 1 second. So I think I just, so Mr. Pollock, I think you sent me a link. You sent a link to me?
Yeah, I tried to at least on the,
Okay,
in the
so
chat
it won't
window.
let, it won't let me open that. It says I don't
Okay.
have security, but if I stop sharing, you should be able to share. So I'm gonna stop sharing my screen. And then I think you maybe now can share if you have that link that you can
Okay,
open.
let's see. Yeah.
You might be able to do that. We can hope.
So I think he was trying to give you the
Material, more information on the material. Was that the link? We were looking at a fence now that transitions up to a taller fence. Is that what you wanted us looking at? Nope.
We've lost audio too, I think.
Oh, now we can't hear you. Can you hear us? We cannot hear you.
Okay, I think it had muted me when I switched the tab, but so the first tab I'll show is an example from the fence company. It's not a house here in town. And then the second one is the one at 812 Worthington Ridge that I got from the sidewalk. So I'll show those in order.
So now we should be looking at the sample. It's a fence that transitions up to a taller fence and it's next to, pretty close to a white house with a, name the kind of trees. It's very familiar to me. Okay, that was from the fence company, if I'm correct. And now this should be the fence at 812, as I understand it. Yep, he's nodding yes. And that's what you've asked the fence company to replicate. That fence and that material is what you believe your fence will be.
Yes, that's correct.
Maureen, I kind of like to look at 812 and see about our approval of that.
Can you give me a second to run down the hall?
That hasn't been for owners since.
Yeah, unfortunately, I don't think you can search.
But the file folder is for the house number, so.
I mean,
Sorry about this.
So Google Maps doesn't reflect the fence. What a more recent photograph does, is that what the conclusion you have to draw from?
but it does show the fence. His view is a little bit more closer to the fence. It's the fence we're talking about. He shot it from a different angle.
Yeah, because the fence is, it's,
Okay, I think we concluded that was substantially away from the street, which may or may not make a difference. Whereas the photo that Mr. Pollock had, I think you said it was taken from the sidewalk.
Yes. Mhm.
Did I hear it correctly? So it looks to be just a few feet from the sidewalk. I just didn't see that in the house.
well, that picture of the 812 house. I think when I walked down Wilton, on that driveway is longer than that appears. Were you standing in the driveway taking that picture? Or were you sitting?
That was actually on the sidewalk on Worthington Ridge, not the cross street that I took that
Not the
picture.
photo that's on screen, the photo that was up earlier, right?
Right, I can see the privacy fence, but shrubbery, stairs. I can see the top of it. So his camera angle was higher than the Google view. You can see it there. His angle is higher, so you'll see. So it is, I mean. I walked that first time, so.
As far as visibility from the road,
To our knowledge when it.
2017.
I'm looking at it, 2017.
So your address is 944, Mr.
Yes,
Pollock?
yes, that's
Okay,
right.
So this should be your house?
Yep, that's it.
Okay. There we go. Is that what you guys were looking at? His house? On your screen, Bill?
Yes.
Okay. So now we have his house on the big screen.
So if you look at this picture, where our fence would be in the front, it would be about, gosh, it's sort of hard to describe, but I've measured it. It would be about, I think it's about 17 or 18 feet back from the sidewalk on the right side of the house. And it would extend from about the middle of the house out to that hedge. Yeah, so it's actually going to be behind that shrub you see there.
Behind this one?
Yeah, and it's just going to extend out to the right towards that hedge.
In this area.
Yes. Mm-hmm.
Ray, you mentioned wanting to take a look at the property. I know this tracks this activity, but quite honestly, if you look at this photograph, it looks a lot closer to the sidewalk. That white line is the sidewalk. It looks a lot closer than what Mr. Pollock described there. It's coming up from behind this row on the right of the house and going out to the row of shrubs. Runs parallel to Hudson. Somehow that view in your description seemed less imposing than looking at this picture. Well, there's two serious. Well, I'm thinking of this portion. Parallel. Yes. Looks quite a bit further away.
So can you describe, are you seeing the aerial view now?
Yes, I am.
Okay, can you describe the fence's orientation on here?
Sure. It's so if you go to about the middle of the house and go due north, that's about where the fence would be along the front, and it will go to the hedge. And then it will
All the way
go
towards Hudson Street, all the way out
Yes.
almost to Hudson Street?
Yes,
Okay.
but that's a pretty tall hedge there. That's about an 8-foot forsythia hedge. And then it will run behind that back to, if you see how the house is shaped like an L, about the leg of the L. Yeah, it's gonna run about like that.
Encompassing this area here.
Yes, that's right. That's
Okay.
exactly it. Mhm.
Now, you realize, I'm looking at your application and I want to just clarify for everyone else. Any portion of the fence, I think the fence is only 3 feet high anyway. Is the whole thing proposed to be 3 feet high?
No, there's just the part in the back, towards the
here.
garage and the driveway. Yeah, about only the part extending, kind of closing off the L of the house. Only that part is going to be privacy, 6-foot privacy.
Okay, so any of the fencing along Hudson Street and back, the distance of the setback, which I think is 25 feet in that zone, can only be 3 feet high anyway, and that's what it is proposing.
despite the fencing, or the hedges, rather. With or without hedges, it can only be 3 feet high in the front yard. And both yards are considered front yards along
Yeah, it would
Hudson
be-
and along Worthington Ridge, so
Picket fence,
I
other
was-
than 3 feet would be unusual.
I see
Good.
things.
The problem I'm having with the final and the 812 house is they came to their COA to said install privacy and picket fence on property. And they gave us all these samples of choices, some were wood, some were vinyl. And on the COA, it says, it doesn't say what material they chose.
So I can go back to the minutes again, like I did on the last one. You've got them, Marlo? Okay, because I can and share them. Thank you. Just so slow. Sorry, guys. There we go. Install a privacy picket fence, a picket fence, blah, blah, to expand the existing driveway. Driveway. Privacy fence and picket fence for dogs. He would prefer vinyl over wood. He would like to keep the fence's historic listing. He is looking for a couple of different style options.
Yeah, in
Oklahoma
fact,
privacy fence.
that is exactly what we're asking for. Oklahoma privacy and Illinois picket. And I guess I should have put that on there, but that's what we're asking for.
Yeah, the fence.
No, it's right here.
No, I mean,
Commissioner pressure to approve to install Oklahoma privacy fence.
Yeah. yeah, but that's not, that's the
Which are
style.
great. But we have to look through in the hearing that comes.
So my ignorance, Oklahoma privacy fence and Illinois picket fence are,
They were in
here in Oklahoma, are not brands. Some people, or their styles, but so there's Oklahoma. Does that mean those styles could conceivably come in? with vinyl?
Illinois.
So.
what they did was they provided us with. Brochure showing what wood might working there. COA.
Plans are approved with number choice in page 2.
Page 2 of the book, perhaps, is one of those on page 2 of the book. One of the books.
None of them are on page 2 of the book. Yeah, for where that topic. Both styles are shown both.
That's why it always should be.
So those two descriptors are not an indication of material, they're only an indication of the architectural style.
Something improved, something else installed.
Buildings are building. 12 is Berlin Hotel. Was building Catherine. It's historic buildings.
Well, it says as shown on the application. Does the application specify in the detail? I'm looking at the motion. Move this to approve and install as shown on application.
This is historic privacy.
Does it give the material on the application?
This is those options.
Page 2 of the. Staple. Still around.
Now I don't know, did they just do vinyl anyhow? Or? That's right. This is just
She's got the file for that one, and thank you for paying attention to that. Although those all have been stamped, so that's helpful. Amazing.
Since Augustine is such a purist. Function.
Unfortunately, as I would say, very communication. Communication. Because it doesn't say either way. Neither the certificate of appropriateness of the application nor offense. Very clear.
You know what? Let's
So-
see.
For the moment, we're not sure. Maybe there's some other research to do. I think you have to look at the configuration of the fire, it's not just a change. Drastically different character of the system. Because right across the street is a mess.
wall.
Could I just
But
ask,
that's not your house. Is it?
could I just ask that everybody make sure they kind of face that way
I'm
and
sorry.
talk louder, just because the
Oh,
microphone is
sure.
up there.
Oh, I see.
Which is why I kind of yell during meetings, because I have to listen to the tapes.
No, thanks for having us.
Yes, I've been on the commission a long time and I've never noticed to approve a vinyl fence unless it was something that was somewhere in the backyard that was maybe
Not
visible, but
visible.
you have to be up next to it to tell the difference.
And to your point, I'm sorry, you're reading.
Done.
Don made the point that it would substantially change the character of the ridge should everyone start installing plastic fences. I pointed out that right across the street, the yellow house with the wooden fence on top of the retaining wall, and then right next to your house, the blue house, also with the wood fence. Right down the street. The next house, I believe, you have a wrought iron fence.
Natural materials.
Natural materials or period appropriate materials, obviously wrought iron not being natural,
No,
but was period appropriate when it was installed and. And notwithstanding our previous decision, unfortunately, the language is unclear, but knowing the people who made the approval, they would have approved a wood fence without hesitation, but they certainly would have approved a vinyl fence. That being said, I know you're talking about the style of fencing similar to a home further down.
Russ,
We don't
can
have
you
anything
hear
about
us?
vinyl on that.
Mhm.
You can hear Bill?
Yes, I can.
Get on that?
Okay.
he doesn't like what he's hearing. So, yeah. One other way to, I mean, regardless of how that prior approval happened, whether it's a mistake, it's the beginning of a precedent. If we approve this now, it's a precedent. There's no doubt about it. And you can expect that people will point to that precedent. And whether it's because the vinyl is cheaper or less maintenance, that may become the predominant choice that people are making. I don't think that would be best for the district.
Well, we said that too about things like vinyl siding that we did years ago and maybe an earlier commission. Yeah, I don't know. what they
Well,
were
and certainly
thinking,
there's stuff that
but-
goes back before the district even existed.
Right, exactly, but, you know, we've said that. Let it be your subject to interpretation, but we've been trying to adhere to preservation standards. And you know, it just seems like this house, like, particularly the fence that we'll be seeing in the front, like, walk right on the sidewalk. And everything about that house, like the lab words and everything are so original.
Yeah,
To have
a
vinyl
lot of work
fence next
was
to it would be-
put into that home. Very recent,
Yeah,
all appropriate, period. Have we
So-
accidentally moved into deliberation?
Perhaps, but Mr. Potter, how,
No.
beginning of this discussion, it was pointed out there was a change to go from vinyl to wood, and then I think you pointed out, well, no, that really wasn't a change. How
Well-
far over are you personally on a choice of vinyl?
We would much strongly prefer vinyl for the reasons that I laid out, the durability and the cost. I had only proposed the wood, partially because I think I may have misinterpreted or misread whether it was a preference or it was a requirement, number one. And then the other thing is I think I probably wasn't aware of the cost at the time. So when I went back to the fence company, he reminded me, he said, you realize that's going to cost you, several $1,000s more for wood. I said, oh, I didn't realize that. So it was that combined with the language of wood being preferred, but not being required. So that was why I sounded like I was changing my mind, although the preference has always been for vinyl.
I think when I was communicating with you, I was talking in generalities, but I did say like older houses, you know, are treated more, it's important to maintain original materials. And I'm just wondering this fence, like how much is really visible?
Well,
If
the privacy fence is not terribly visible from the road. You can't see it. You won't be able to see it. If you don't actually see it.
I was thinking
As
there's
you
some
go,
compromise.
as you go down the sidewalk, picket fence facing Worthington Ridge will certainly be 100% visible,
Yeah.
or very close to the sidewalk. And as you move down Hudson, you know, yeah, we do have that rather thick hedgerow up for Scythia. But as I mentioned earlier, we're not supposed to consider intervening greenery.
Because that could be
It can be removed, and it's also seasonal. Although for Scythia, it's very seasonal. Will say, from my personal experience, in previous neighborhood, where we did install the vinyl fence because it's cheaper. We did both picket and privacy along the property line, but picket along facing the front, and it was constantly repairing broken vinyl pickets because they don't deal well in cold, because they become fairly brittle
I was like,
in cold weather. And the
sun
particular issue was the gate was constantly breaking.
So there's a second privacy section that I don't think was discussed yet, or maybe I missed it, in the write-up that talks about just surrounding the garbage cans or the trash cans.
Right. That's actually, and that's not even going to be as tall. I think that's going to be about 5 feet tall. But yes.
Yeah, that's a sign. That's the line. That's the fence on the left side.
Right, short L section of fence there, and then
Yeah, it's in the map.
a gated section of privacy fence. Closest to the back of the house.
You might be beating the dead horse here. It's pretty clear that vinyl fence is not appropriate.
I'm asking, I ask this just from the standpoint of exploring all options. Well, I found it a little more acceptable. What you're referring to be mitigated if only the privacy fencing is allowed to be furthest from the road, less visible. You're looking at my first inclination is to stay with the vinyl.
But you're going to make some compromise in some area when doing some littering.
Yes. As far as maintenance goes, again, this is personal experience. When it comes time to paint a fence, you have the option of either painting or staining. Staining doesn't last quite as long, but it gives more protection as it sinks into the wood. Big deal is, when it comes time to reapply, you just apply more stain over the existing stain. They have white stain. Sure. There's
There's no
almost no
scraping.
prep. There's no scraping, because I made a mistake with the
pool, the fence down by our pool, behind, between our two barns, I painted. In time that was peeling, and that was quite labor intensive to prep. And then repaint. When we did replace the fence around the rest of the house, we stained it. The stain is holding up remarkably well. And all you have to do when it comes time to reapply, reapply. There's no sanding, scraping, painting up, power washing. Like stain is, in my opinion, indistinguishable.
Again, not sure this is our position or our place to do this, but there are other advantages. You mentioned, the vinyl has a propensity for mildew. And you see that all the time, in particular when it's out in the sunlight. Whereas stains can be selected with the mildew side that not occur. So perhaps there's a maintenance reduction as a result of that.
Oh, well, no, the one with fence isn't so bad either. It's not unfortunately as it is one.
Yeah, it's glaring. That vinyl.
I just find it funny over time the sun changes the color
It does become more real.
and becomes brittle.
Did you make the mistake of power washing? Edges.
But those are, to agree, interesting conversations. Really not.
Not necessarily pertinent to the program, it's just rather trying to be helpful.
Put it very well done. We want everybody on the list to start taking down their wooden fences and replacing them with vinyl.
Some more questions? Anybody? Russ, do you have any other questions? Can you hear me?
I don't have any questions other than, is there any other information that you'd like me to provide?
Would suggest that you, if you're so inclined not to improve a vinyl fence, that you ask if he would amend his application for wood so that something can be approved, or if you'd rather move forward with an approval or denial of what was approved, or what was presented, what was applied for. So if you'd like any modification, that needs to be made while the public hearing is still open. I guess that's probably the succinct way to say that,
So he would have to modify this.
verbally at the meeting. For you to move forward with it, in a modified material. If that's where you're headed.
Ross, how urgent is this for you to get this fence up? Because it sounds like we're leaning towards approving it only if it is wood. And would you be willing to modify your application for wood?
It's not incredibly urgent. They would still have to get the material, and I know that the permit would still have to go through. I guess it depends on what kind of modifications that we're talking about. I mean, if it's just a matter of if it's a matter of the material, or if it's a matter of the dimensions of the fence, I'm not sure.
No, I think it's the material. But I see maybe possibility of some flexibility. I could be wrong because we haven't discussed this. Maybe having the garbage can thing, the vinyl. But that's just me saying that. I don't know.
I don't know what that makes a difference to the applicant.
I
I
don't know
threw
whether
that out only as
it's going
means
to
of
save
maybe-
much money.
No, that's true. But could be.
And again, we're back to approving vinyl fence.
Yep, I agree.
Setting precedent,
Yeah.
in the vinyl fence for the covering up the ceiling of the garbage cans is visible readily on the sidewalk.
Okay, so what I'm hearing is we could move to vote on this, but it sounds like we would be declining your application for vinyl. But we could vote on having it be wood material. If you want us to make a decision.
Okay, that, I guess then the next question I have is the issue with vinyl the entire fence, or is it just a certain section of fence that's visible from either the street or the sidewalk?
It's my impression that essentially the entire fence is visible from both Worthington Ridge and the side street. Therefore, we really couldn't approve any section of it for vinyl. If there was any section that wasn't, I'm under the impression that it would be so small as to make an insignificant cost overall. The general consensus is that vinyl is just not acceptable material, expensive. Storage.
I think particularly this house because it's so close to the road and site.
Very
For the moment that we chalk 812 past.
Well, I haven't been out there and I don't know.
Right.
I don't know if it's vinyl or not. And
I think we need to look into that.
Yeah, I just
Doesn't
seems to be the right thing to look into regardless.
Yeah.
Sure.
I mean, we have had things where we approve something and the homeowner does not follow instructions and does what they want to do. So I can't, without doing more research, I can't speak to 812.
It's likely, well, if I may, it's likely we'll have to listen to the tape on that to determine what actually would have transpired at the same time.
Were there tapes back then?
Yeah, we recorded.
wasn't that for?
But sometimes
Except-
municipalities are a little slow to pick up on technology.
Except for the time period, so we do have some tapes that are on cassettes. So you try to play them, they might, as soon as you put them in the machine, they do something wrong. Others are on CD, and we have actually a couple of decades of them, but you can't listen to all of them. So now I don't have the recorder here. We're doing it on Zoom and that recording. I don't know the perpetuity of these recordings being held. We try to also have the tape recorder, but we
are
don't
creating
today.
a digital file,
Yes,
audio video file.
yes, now we're doing that. But we have audio backups from long before.
Whether it's an official action or not, certainly stop and take a look. It's curiosity. Sounds like it doesn't make a difference. We should have to discuss that.
We're still back to like, whether we vote on. Like,
Well, I think what we're, well, the gentleman's question was whether or not, whether we would be requiring wood for the entire fence, or just part of the fence, or would overlook a section of the fence being vinyl. And I don't think there's any real section that says not directly visible from the public way. Or it has to be natural material. From there.
I was going to add to that to clarify that a bit. So, and I'm looking for where it is, but if it can be seen, it's subject to a COA. If it can't be seen, then it's not subject to a COA. So you wouldn't be voting on something you wouldn't be able to see.
And you can
Is
see
to
everything.
wrap that up in a bow.
So, and everything is visible.
If you discount the vegetation, everything.
And you cannot use vegetation as
Yeah,
a,
that's
it's
specific.
apps, it specifically says that in
Yeah, that's
here,
okay.
I'm looking for it.
That's very clear guidance. that I'm aware of. Otherwise, you could climb, well, I have a tree, you can't see my house, so I'm fine. And then as soon as the leaves fall,
Well, I thought too about this recipient that it kind of goes towards the road a lot. And I wondered if the town sometimes can combine, just like
Well, the-
Sherwood.
Yeah, and it doesn't matter. It's when you consider it, you have to pretend that it's not there.
You
And
It's
imagine-
deciduous, so it's
imagine
gone.
what you can see there.
So I
So are we at closing the hearing and just?
Well, I don't know, does the applicant want to modify his application?
So, well, the answer to his question was, no, we'd be evaluating the whole fence.
Yes.
Yeah, it would be the hall fence. So, I mean, we can vote on that if you want to change to wood. I mean, we could vote on this and approve wood, and maybe you don't do it right away, you can get over with something.
If y'all want to vote on wood, I'm happy to accept that. Because if the vinyl's not an option, I'm not sure what other options there are, and I would probably get one that looked pretty much the same, and probably the only way to do that would be a wood one.
Bear in mind that if you get a certificate of appropriateness, there's no requirement that you build the fence. Meaning, if you apply for a certificate, I just want to be absolutely clear there that you're not buying into something here.
Right. Yeah, I understand that.
You can come back for a separate meeting if you haven't proposed that
I mean-
alternate option.
I don't know how the others would feel about this, but I think I mentioned it to you. There are a couple houses that did fences to hold their dogs in, and they used stockade fence. And then lined it with,
You don't need to, actually, you can slip around.
I'm sorry, split rail. Split rail, and then they put some sort of mesh in it that you can't even see.
Well, when we did our pool, even though it's not visible, we decided to go with existing split rail and to meet requirements for climbability. Have a 1-inch square wire mesh, vinyl coated wire mesh on the inside. And being painted black, as soon as you step away, maybe 10, 15 feet around it, fades away in the background. But, but they're not looking for, they're looking for a picket, which is, is a classic white picket fence along in the historic district. White picket is classic one.
It's a good fit. Yeah, it's very good architecture.
Can I make a clarification procedurally? So, I believe that due to the discussion being with regard to materials, the same proposal of fencing, should you choose to agree on the wood material. I don't want to make any presumptions of the vote, but let's face what we're hearing here. What we're hearing here is if it's wood, and that would eliminate the need for the applicant to come back for just a change of materials. There would always be the option, should you change the proposal in another manner, to come back with a modification, such as changing the type of, the style of fencing or its location or something like that. Then
Yeah,
but if the material was changed at this point, it would be moving forward basically with the proposal, the concept that you want at this time.
I'd actually prefer to put another proposal in to make sure, so that I can go back to the fence company and talk about styles, because the styles between the vinyl and the wood will probably, I'm sure there's going to be some differences. So I'll be happy to submit another proposal.
Would you, so just for clarity purposes, would you like them to move forward with a vote on a modification for wood for this? And then should you decide to modify it, come back for something different? Or would you rather just either have a vote on the vinyl and then come back with something completely, whatever?
I'd say no vote on the vinyl, and I'll just come back with a different one after I talk to the fence company and and kind of iron out the styles and all that, because I'm pretty sure they are going to change.
So would you like to withdraw your application or? have
Yes.
them vote?
Yeah, we'll
So
just withdraw it
that
and
out
submit
loud.
a new one.
Okay. Say that out loud,
Just to
please.
be clear. I don't wanna be too much
Withdraw the application, please. Thank
What
you.
you're saying, though, is there's no consequence to approving this wood. It doesn't limit.
Right,
your
that's what
options
I was trying to
in
make
any
clear.
shape, way, or form. You can walk away and do nothing. You have the option, if you can choose a wood product that is acceptable to you, of then moving forward without coming back to the committee.
Right,
So-
or you can,
And I'm sorry, I'm being a
but
salesman here,
you're right.
I just don't see the negative. But if tabling
That's
it
his
makes more
choice.
sense, then that's your choice.
That's his choice. You have everything.
Yeah.
There was just one with fence.
Oh, it was.
Oh, okay. Yeah, that was. And that would probably be a good idea, you know, because you can change his mind about what this looks like.
All right, so I'll mark this application is withdrawn at this point.
Okay, that's fine.
So,
Yeah, you can close the hearing, but it doesn't really, you can have to, well, let's close it just to be safe, but then we'll note it as withdrawn. The applicant is withdrawn.
Okay, do I have a motion to close? So the applicant has withdrawn his request for now.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Hollis.
Okay, thank you.
This is the 8/12. We have the minutes from December. I can't believe we haven't met since December. Was it? We had 3 people at that time too. It's a bit Easter. So it's just, oh, we're going to one's left.
There were only 3 of you at that meeting?
Well, no, but the people who Bill wasn't there.
Oh, okay.
Amy's not on, and Andrew's missing.
I didn't realize that was there. I only noticed it when
So
Susan might
can
have
Herb
said,
and I approve?
yeah, it was simple.
Did you read the majority?
I'm glad. Overall.
You don't have to.
It looks great to me.
Yeah. Oh, so do you want to make a motion to approve?
I'd like to make a motion to approve the minutes.
I guess I'll second it. No person here.
So we should make note that we're seating you as chair for this week also.
Yeah. Because I want to thank Don for volunteering. I think you're gonna be a good addition. But we need another person to, Susan left. There's another vacancy, so if anybody knows of somebody, they don't have to live on Ridge. I hope there's somebody with some expertise about building. You know,
After I told my wife, all the excitement happened. If she decides that she might be interested, would that be inappropriate? to have a husband and wife thing?
I don't think so.
But she is interested in
Oh,
historic
it's
preservation.
Maureen? What do you think?
I've been looking at the thing for several minutes, but I didn't look for that provision, so. Well, we
I'm
can,
not saying she will.
Well,
But
I was saying, let's put it this way, we know that being husband and wife, it's no guarantee that that would be a voting law.
That's a true statement.
Yeah.
You mean that husbands and wives don't necessarily agree all the time? Is that what you're saying? I think that's,
Being a married man, I'm afraid to
Yeah.
wade into those waters. But I don't think there's anything, there's nothing that's about relation. I mean, the only thing is.
So two things, I'm looking
she's a
through,
registered Republican, but it sounds like there's.
I'm looking quickly through the regulations for the historic district. However, there are guidelines from the town as far as being appointed to boards, and the town council is actually the body that appoints people to the boards. So, boards and commissions, so it would get vetted through the town clerk's office as well as what the historic district regulations themselves call for. It's also what the town council and charter provisions for the commission call for. I'm looking for the chart I had. I had a list before that said the affiliations, et cetera, and I try not to pay attention to people's affiliations, so I don't have that list in front of me right now, but we can look into it if she is interested. And we make sure, and I know our town clerk would make sure it fit the rules
Okay.
prior to anyone getting appointed inappropriately.
Like it's, you know, there are quite a few new people into the village, but I don't know what their expertise is. You assume like if they move and they're interested in history, but I was close. They were looking for bargain or something.
I'm sorry. Yeah. Bargain is usually not there.
Well, it used to be that way. Fixer upper.
So it really speaks to the residency on and off the ridge that I'm reading about.
No way, just a curiosity.
We have at least 3 regular members and 1 alternate shall also be residents and property owners within the historic district. As
That's
opposed
not
to-
really conflict at all, right? Is it?
No, that wouldn't be, because you both live in the ridge, right? You both
Yeah.
live on the ridge, yeah, so you wouldn't, that's where, you know, but if we had 4 people vying for 2 seats across town and they all lived in other parts, areas of town, we'd have to make sure the mix is correct.
Oh,
Of
okay,
residents
sure.
and non-residents of the historic district.
Because, you know, you people living in the district, if this commission was only people who live outside, wouldn't you resent being dictated to like outsiders?
That is true.
The goal is to prevent that.
Yeah.
Maintaining a certain number.
A certain mix.
So the other thing I wanted to take people on is the long time thing about the Episcopal River Pond. If you've driven by there, you'll see that it's being dismantled. And this started like it's really cool. It took a long time trying to get somebody to disassemble and save the building. So Steve Felix, who's a well-known restoration carpenter, and does this kind of thing, has been the owner, Mr. C, gave a lot of him exclusive rights to this building, but it went on and on and on because Steve has all these high-end clients like all over New England and New York and whatnot. He's done things like this for. But one after another, it fell through. You couldn't get them here to look at it. And I'm thinking, Mr. C's and his patience and some point, just say, forget it. But finally, at the last ditch thing, when Mr. Rossini gave him 2 weeks notice to get out of here, or it was coming down, Steve got a client who's going to have it rebuilt in his home. So the process is going on, but I noticed around it, Mr. Rossini's company was like bulldozers, everything, so it's all dirt with this one part, the remains of it still standing. But it just made me think a lot about how difficult it is to save buildings, because you have to have the right buyer, and that takes time. And when we talked about doing the demolition delay, I don't know how it's even possible, because these deals take so long to put together. Like owners,
Yeah, no, I'm not.
owners would just lose patience and that would put up with Yeah. But Ms. Joyce needs to be commended that he's allowing this to happen. For the farming, at least unlike many developers, he allows to do this.
So with that in mind, I met Sean, who's the new owner across the street from us.
I'm familiar with that.
Oh, Sean, oh, I went.
Yeah, nice guy, very good guy, and I think he's got
Oh, I wonder.
the right approach. Maybe that's possible. But he did give me a different advice. And he's got potential. I think he's thinking he's good. One of the things that came up in conversation this morning is that there is a small bar out back. It looks like it go into from the end of the driveway, but that's not the case. The driveway is coming into the second floor of the bar. At some point, there must have been a driveway. But I love the bar. I just think it's a neat thing. This one's in pretty tough shape. Structurally, it's not. You have the facade repainted just so that the look from the street wasn't as bad as it was. But I mean, it's really bad. But the sideboards and some of the lower structures are really good. He talked about having it like that. Oh, you have, this is not a new thing.
Our owner applied to do it, to tear things.
They would or would not.
Well.
Okay, good.
He would answer questions from where it comes to these.
Yeah. And then I think it was, the others were.
Yeah, but
Oh, this was-
Well, that's a big, it's like a map of art.
It's a huge, but
Oh, no, it's just.
it was well maintained and it's beautiful. Mostly neat.
Well, this one looks like it's had roof issues for around 25 years.
The whole story.
I was going to introduce an opportunity here.
Your assistant is very accurate. The siding is still in fairly good condition. And the base pad is going to be built. The floor joists, so, yeah, the framing members are all gone, the roof is shot. Sideboards can be some conditions, so it might be for somebody who is ambitious, maybe a private owner. There'd be some possible salvage value, but there's no, you can't really save it. You have to tear it down to the floor, first floor.
I think that was his intent, but he was unsure about what move would be.
He would just have to come here and show up.
Okay.
Yeah.
He can actually show up.
Show up.
Good
Talk to
first step.
us.
Good
If-
first step, yeah.
if I could make a suggestion, it was discussed extensively with many photographs being presented. This is the 991. I'm sorry, because I was looking for the other bar.
It is the red bar behind.
So
Stand
there's
alone.
the record in the historic district file is pretty thick. And the minutes of the meeting will be reflective of a lot of the conversation about the structure, its significance, et cetera. So between the minutes and the file, I would always suggest property owners, look at what we
Okay.
got.
I
Come
think,
look at what we got.
I think that was
on our
not
property.
trying. You should just come to the meeting and request for a conversation.
You know,
It's a starting point rather than a proposal.
I
So-
mean, it's kind of a shame because the one ago owners that I knew for decades that owned the house, they had way back started to restore the barn. They put in a new foundation underneath. And I don't know if you walked down to actually look.
No, we did not.
It's
look
a-
at the
yeah,
barn.
Started putting.
It's a cement foundation. And they had it jacked up and everything. And then I'm told there was a hurricane coming. They had to put it down. And they didn't finish. all the
And wouldn't
foundation.
stop that.
And I don't know why they never did anything after that because they didn't sell the house immediately. They moved to Newington.
It seems the worst. left the roots place. And therefore,
If
the
they just done the
degradation
roof,
just continued. And the new foundation, yes, probably was in a positive direction, but it didn't do a thing for sealing and
They
the
should
structure
attended
above the
to the roof
foundation.
first. No, if they just done the roof first. Or
Yes.
put like a membrane
Yes,
or
exactly.
something. It's a shame because it was really,
Yeah, so now it's not a roof job. Now the entire structure
Yeah.
is about to collapse, so. it's-
but I talked to Sean too. And he sounds like really responsible. He wants to do a lot of good things here.
I agree,
He's already done
yeah.
some painting and he told me he wants to get the cars off the road. It's all congested there. And has he talked to you at all about?
No,
like,
but I get complaints about that house from the zoning perspective,
well, that
often
house-
enough over the years.
You get complaints about the building next to it?
Yes. That
It
is
used to
that.
be Berlin's Town Hall.
Yes, we have had many conversations here as well as other.
So that's another thing that, Herb had brought this up at some of the meetings. And we often talk about this, but that is such a crucial building to the historic district and it's just being neglected like
Yeah.
crazy.
The roof is in good shape. But we've had issues where the town had to force them to seal up windows or doors.
I want to do that again. Quite a number of years.
I've talked
They got
to-
critters.
The owners keep insisting that people are throwing rocks through the windows or something.
And that's quite possible, but
We have seen that.
Yeah. It's been, and also, I mean, if they're throwing rules, why are they just looking at the building looks dilapidated and abandoned? And kids will not hesitate to throw a rock through the window of an abandoned building, whereas they will hesitate to throw the window, a stone through the window of an occupied building. And the building appears for all intents and purposes to be abandoned from the outside, although it's not, but it looks that way.
It should be on the town board.
Or do we have a zoning?
No,
It's a shame
These
that
would be the one to inspect it and determine.
So
if it was
we-
worthy of the blight list.
well, the blight list is a process and it goes through town council. There are, I can't recall off the top of my head whether that's one of the buildings on the list. That was proposed or not right now. I can't remember. There was a new list assembled not too long ago. I don't know if it got as far as town council. The different departments are, scrambled to try to put that list together and different.
If any building is worthy, that one.
It's, I believe, noted in my list of
Yeah,
the
crazy thing
items.
that
We did have inspection during the time that the barn was being inspected next door. That was also looked at as far as what our building inspector had authority over to get boarded up, et cetera. I don't want to speak for the building inspector. I presume to understand these volumes and volumes of regulations. However, my recollection is that only windows somebody can get to can be forced to be closed. If it's boarded up, if it's an entry problem as opposed to just one that would let
It's a well-
Squirrels get in. squirrels. let it. So, but again, I don't want to speak for him. It has been discussed several times. I had
So there are.
reports from him.
The second floor, third floor. There's also. I find it fascinating too. The utilities, which would be multiple furnaces, multiple hot water, are all actually underneath the ground. You look at the building. Yeah, I told you, but I thought you guys might find it interesting too. So there is a good sized room, bigger than this room, where the basement structure juts out beyond the building structure. See, there's steps, the sidewalk, and the sidewalk on one side of the street. The basement actually comes out, steel supporting structure, probably a foot or so below the surface of the
That's
soil.
the town hall or that's
The town hall?
991?
No, that's the town hall.
that was probably added after the space.
Road across
Um,
the on top of it.
Yeah, and the steel is in tough shape.
It's been rusting away. And maybe they'll be put in the basement. So at some point, we'll probably read about the car that collapsed in the sinkhole. in the basement. But, anyway. I mean, I cut you off.
No,
It started with the
something
barn
we should
because
discuss.
there was somebody in the business of salvaging old barns. Maybe
Well, and it's
not.
gonna
Okay.
build this one. After this experience.
Well, there could be
It's
some
more
sideboards
intimidating.
reclaimed.
Sideboard. I don't think it's worth it. Because it's the same, people were in your own yard.
There are people who will salvage the barn board, things like that.
But
As-
they
as
are
vintage
weathered
lumber.
barn boards, it's just painted barn boards. So,
But I mean, even that, then market, we have the market carriage out stores. That's quite accidental. Very old season. Cut. Salvage.
Well, anyhow, when I
So the
go-
barn you were referring to, one of them, so there is finally gonna get up and moving.
It's in the process of being moved. If you drive by, it's on the school road, it's the road with the spooky house at the front.
My daughter calls that a murder house. And it's a disassembly move, not a jack.
Yeah. You know, every part by part, everything's labeled. So,
it looks like you're gonna have to replace it. in some of the rooms.
what did you get?
Well, I part there. So somewhere where the siding comes down is fastened, what you call maybe the sill. It's really wide behind the siding.
This is actually two parts of that barn, one is smaller and one's larger.
This was the large. But it's easy enough to replace the. Yeah, I'm sure.
Anyhow, getting back to the town hall, it's a complicated thing because the owners are overwhelmed. They don't stand with us. Work on this building. And they kind of bought it because grandfather was a joint dealer and stored stuff. So it's passed on to them and it's just a much headache, but they value history. They love the history. They grew up in town.
Isn't that
but they-
property up for sale? Or is it just the
No.
property next to it that's up for sale?
There's a property for sale there.
I thought for the longest time, the sign, there was a sign in front of.
Yeah, that would be the one that Sean
Yeah,
had for like,
the
I can't think of his
991.
last
To the
name.
right.
Yes, there was a light blue aluminum sign.
The people that own it,
Oh,
and
I
it's on the
always-
corner of
I
Middletown
always-
Road.
I always thought it was people to the right.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yes,
It's like-
that's true.
Oh, so anyhow, they would love to sell it, but the zoning is an issue. I talked to Maureen about it. It's a huge building. Who's gonna buy it as one family? you know? So
It's all residential, single family.
you can't have any of the
So-
apartments somewhere that's rich and.
Yes.
So it's a non-conforming use as a municipal building. Well, actually, it wouldn't even
It's
have been a municipal building. Because municipal buildings are allowed in residential districts. So there would have to be a determination if someone came in to propose a difference in the use as to what it would require in order to get a use of the building, because right now it's a
Well, I'll tell you,
Town
Bill
hall
brought it
and
up
possibly
earlier in this
storage.
meeting, but, A lot of the southern states. are destroying buildings, so they are either allowed to renovate even an historic area, historic building, with some concessions to save costs, or the buildings are abandoned and they fall to the ground. So to some degree, I hope the town of Berlin takes that perspective, because as a single family home, it would be a 1 in a million buyer. It would have a
So
vision
that is
for
the
one single-family
discussion,
home
but
that
it's a
size
matter,
with that.
you gotta know what the proposal is in order to propose either an amendment to the regulation to deal with
Yes, which
what
means
they
you probably
want.
get at least
So you
rendering,
need some
architectural
idea
rendering.
of what you want to be approving, or
Because if you
to
wanted to-
add
excuse me, I'm sorry. So I did do a seminar on the whole, destruction, demolition by neglect. You know, I've gone to those seminars for zoning officers and town planners as well. So there is that perspective, and awareness of either the regulations or an ordinance or something has options. There's options and what the options are and what the town needs, as well as what an investor is willing to have as those options in, you know, what fits perhaps in Frog Hollow in Hartford may not be the same regulation that you want to have in Berlin, and not the same regulation you might want to have in Old Lyme. You know, just to name 3 towns that we're talking about, you know, name wise. But so, you know, it's not a one size fits all from the state's perspective to send down that regular or to provide guidance to us. There, you know, the town has to make some of those decisions, at least at this point. But it's a good segue to the fact that we are working, as Lorraine is well aware, on the plan of conservation and development, the 10-year update for the town. That's the 10-year plan of conservation and development, spearheaded by the Planning and Zoning Commission. They formed a committee which is substantially members of the planning and is the members of the Planning and Zoning Commission. Upcoming this week on Thursday night is a community workshop on it. You may have seen there's a poster on the door. You may have gotten it by email. Some they went out, some not to other, you know, just it was a matter of who had the list in front of them at the time in order to member lists to send them to. So the idea at the community workshop is that we, and actually for the other meeting I'm going to discuss as well, is that if you plan to attend, give me a heads up, because we don't want to have to notice the meeting, or rather, if we have to notice the meeting as having a quorum of any particular commission's membership, we want to either do that or plan another meeting for the membership somehow or some way. But overall, we're just trying to avoid too many at any single meeting. We are then at the end of the month, that's this Thursday on the 9th, at the end of the month on the 22nd and the 23rd, we're having what we call thematic meetings. And I'm not sure of which theme is going to be at which time, but one of the themes is the conservation and historic and agricultural features of the town will be one of the theme meetings. Those are going to be at those 2 nights, one topic at 5:15, another topic at 6:45. And then the second night, the same thing, so that we can have 4 different themes going over the course of those 2 days. Those will be downstairs in the Board of Ed conference room. The workshop this week is in the community center, Parks and Rec community center, the big room, multi-purpose room. That's what we call it, I think.
Marie, I was gonna say there is a questionnaire online that people can't attend these meetings.
So then we also have the community survey, which is a feature of the plan of conservation and development. And that is both linked with a QR code, or look it up, you can link it on the website as well, or we have paper copies of it, which currently are out of the rotunda because they're getting ready for an event for the morning, but usually there's a stack there. There's a stack in my office. If somebody wants a paper copy of it, you can follow me to my office and I'll give you one, or they'll be in the town clerk's office, in the library, community center, and senior center is where we have the community survey, and they all come, the flyer for it has the QR code on it, so you can, is that what you call it, QR code, when you scan it with your phone? Yeah, QR code. I'm not as old as I appear. Yes, I am. Oh, I'm older. I guess that's the pitch for the POCD. And so one of those items that has been discussed at the meeting when the committee was together, we have a consultant working with us on it, is what changes to the regulations may be forthcoming as a result of the POCD, what we want to look at. And Lorraine has kept on my radar to mention multiple times that, you know, options for historic district properties.
properties that may be too large. There's a couple of buildings in the historic district that are impractical for your average single-family homeowner.
I think, as I said, I think they would be wrong to start splitting these buildings up into apartments. In my experience, as someone who goes and inspects places like that it never actually. It's generally a case of split it up to get the maximum amount of apartments in there and then suck as much money out of it as possible. It's rarely done, it's not like a gentrification of Brooklyn kind of thing. It's that being said, if I think they were a little short-sighted in saying, well, we're just going to allow residential, we're not going to allow business of any sort, because truly what has saved numerous buildings like that is no office or someone like that, the doctor's office. And, I love my neighbors, Travis. We had a graduation party for her daughter. They both wonderful people. I know that's on the side of the story past, but they're nice people and they have a huge mansion with a lot of staff. Depends on taste, whether or not that's a good thing. But I look at that building and say, who is going to buy? They're going, who's going to buy that?
Which houses? How do you say?
I believe it's an 8,000 square feet.
Is this the animals building?
The one with statues.
Oh, okay.
It
The
is
zoo.
incredible.
Statues and, yes.
And he's got, if you ever meet him, actually, you don't even have to meet, he told me, because anytime you want to walk, you just walk through my property with the statues. Just do so. If he sees you, come out and say hi. He's not going to show up with a shotgun. He'll come out and say hi and talk your ear off. But I look at a building like that that's 8,000 square feet. Someone who's looking for 8,000 square feet for a home, generally not looking for.
Or on that size parcel.
Or they want 8,000 square feet on 50 street, or they want 8,000 square feet historic mansion where everything around them is a historic home. And so I fear for a home like that. Who's going to buy an 8,000 square foot home and maintain it appropriately? That's the cost, even if you get that at a bargain basement price. The cost to maintain that many square feet, 3 stories, monstrosity. You understand? That's a lot of investment just in maintenance. And so, as much as you want to see it stay residential, if the town were to allow exceptions where someone comes in and says, well, I'm a want, I want. I'm looking for a place like that, and I don't want a place in West, I can't afford a place in West Hartford or that. And it's better that you're looking to have it divvied up. That's problematic. How do you allow 8,000 square feet broken up to apartments? Parking. Parking is always a
Same with
severe,
offices, though. The problem with
it's a
offices.
severe
as well.
restriction. So they have to overlook both the use and the parking requirements.
It looks like from what I can see from the stonework. Somewhat.
It was.
There's a newer home you can see, but the quite ornate stone wall.
Yeah, that used to be a barn.
Yeah.
It used to be a barn.
But that has left them with not a lot of parking. I mean, certainly residential. Single family. But I have some issues with the parking.
I'm what town hall has parking. Has a little parking.
A little.
It's all grown tree.
Yes.
There's trees growing through the field. But there is a little. parking.
Well, when they put the trolley back.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's a conundrum. How do you deal with that?
Well, I encourage participation in the P O C D meetings. So that's where we can, it would be really great if you gave me a heads up, because then if I know that 4 of you want to go or 3, we might have a issue. We may try to move who goes to what meeting, or we may do something else. But,
TOP.
POCD.
It's the
Plan of Conservation and Development. POCD.
It's something the town has to do every 10 years.
We have to do it by state law every 10 years by statute. Each town updates or creates a plan of conservation and development. We just finished the affordable housing plan, which is also a mandate that had to be completed by June 1st. And we did that, which will be incorporated and linked. The same consultant is working with us on both. And so some of our meetings have been adjusted to meet that. Our first timeline was adjusted in order to meet the affordable housing plan update. We thought these meetings were going to happen a few months ago, but we instead refocused the attention on the affordable housing plan. And now we're moving forward with the theme meetings. The only other thing on the agenda is the election process.
I don't know what to do. I really don't want to be chair, right? That's why I took Susan into doing it. She was so good at running
It's
meetings.
just accidental that you're in the school.
So-
You do a really good job.
So I
mean
can,
that sincerely.
I can put out there that the three positions are chair, vice chair, and clerk. And I think basically the clerk resembles a secretary. However, we do have the recording secretary, so the secretary doesn't do the same type of things you might, doesn't do minutes, our recording secretary does. But there is a couple of administrative things that get done through the year.
Has been quite a while.
But isn't she
She's
now an alternate,
so-
so she can't be any longer? So they do, the officers do have to be regular members. So we only have 4 regular members right now, Herb, Don, Lorraine, and Bill. Yes, you 4 are the regular members at this point, which is why I'm
Looks like
keeping,
an opportunity.
why I'm keeping this on the radar right now.
I'm glad you.
I assured him it wasn't going to be a huge time commitment.
So you know, all that old workout, old houses you were talking about. Big old houses, well, I'm in the middle of it,
Groups, it's too.
probably all.
I want to sort of my kind of experience, worse, not better. In fact, this January, I notified my scout troop that I needed to step down. My scout master, I'm still scout master, because they haven't found it. To step in. No, I mean, just so you know that my, I had very limited availability. Probably else.
Yeah.
Virtually or otherwise.
Well, I think like I have tons of stuff I do, sorts and meeting house stuff too, so. Granted, I'm retired, but I want to have like. But- So nobody wants any of these jobs.
Plus my office is currently understaffed, so we're all on call.
Increase some more. At least one.
I'll talk to her, I'll let you know. If she's interested, then we can pursue
Dive
the
in.
administrative side, whether we're violating.
Both feet and becoming-
I think the only thing the clerk did was the annual
And
report.
Yeah.
and really,
And I
the
know
last
that
couple of
this
years,
year because Amy was away. and couldn't reach her to do it.
So, and really, it's leaves off of the previous year's report and just is modified each year, basically.
Yeah, we just
Number
saw
of
the hearings and the outcome and any other projects.
It's kind of an inventory of what had been done.
She was
previous
good
year.
at embellishing. Good summary. So we can't wait to do election.
That it's the commission, however, I know I've been asked multiple times and just commented that we haven't, that the historic district didn't have very many meetings this year, so it was less than necessary, you know. There are some years you meet pretty regularly, most months of the year. This year we've only met one other. Did you meet? No, there has been no meeting so far. This is the first meeting of
That's
this
kind of
year.
unusual,
So that's very unusual.
but I don't think we even had election last year.
I remember having an election where Susan had said she was gonna sit down and realize that she would be her end of her term shortly. But that might have been the year before, but I thought it was last year.
They haven't.
Yeah, we must have, yes, we get asked by the town, because each commission and board has to have their officers. So if it's not feasible to do, then that will be my response. Of course, you guys have an election. You can't do it.
Volunteer to be vice or the. I think someone just has to nominate someone else.
And Marlo and I can't nominate you. No nominations.
That's just, for some reason, I nominated. That's gonna decline.
That's what you get for showing up.
No.
Consistently showing up.
I show up, but I think I might be too much of a hard ass for.
Well, that's good
Oh,
position
that's
for
okay.
vice chair.
See, I think I'm too wishy-washy sometimes.
That's.
Because I'm seeing both sides and everything, it's hard for me to make a decision.
And bear in mind, if you're the vice chair and you're a hard ass, you're over it. Doesn't mean that you force things. It's commission, not a, you know.
I was just reading this, it's referred to, the chair is referred to as the number one. That's what they, and they said it like it was
So-
humorous.
But I'm saying is don't worry about the fact that you consider yourself a hard ass because it's a commission and you have no more vote or standing than anyone else. It just means procedure. And step in the chairs and.
I've only missed one meeting in my whole life, almost 20 years, so.
You just.
And that's the other thing, I hate procedure. Can't stand procedure. But I'll, you know, if you're
So-
desperate, I'll be your desperate choice.
That's what it's worth.
Okay, that's better. I don't want to influence anything, but maybe that's the better choice for the clerk. Right, comfortable, somebody else needs to be the vice chair.
My eyesight is horrible. I can barely read the headlines.
Yeah, that's true.
So
So, yeah. clerk.
I'm going to take that.
Vice chair.
What kinds of people comes after it, just. So.
Well,
So we
have a chair
currently-
because Susan retired.
It's
Yeah.
just live along with you, kind of covering.
I could be like- My term is up in 2024. That'll be, well, I think that's 20 years, so. Think about retirement.
We'll stay on as a chair.
Nominate each other. Somebody can read.
Yes, well, I'll have to print it out really large.
By the time we do that, this is the kind of combination.
So when we do that clerk. like, we can nominate each other, there's a second. Right. Okay, so I nominate her to be vice chair.
I nominate Ray to be pseudo chair.
Reluctant cheer.
Full of it.
Reluctant.
I said,
And then for, you just sit down.
enjoy.
No, you could
I'm
be
taking a
it.
step at a time.
You could be it and then make your way.
Exactly what
Yes, I-
No, basically, like.
Yeah, once a year, the clerk goes to the office
Maureen gives you all the information.
and you basically update last year's report with this year we did this, this, and this.
Or you prove what I wrote.
Yes.
That would be the other way that occurs for several commissions. You
Oh,
know,
we're not the only condition.
it's cool. I have 4 commissions right now. So yes, each one has to do an annual report. We do them through the department as well as each commission.
All right, did you nominate?
I did, but just kind of like.
I'll second it. Oh,
No,
well, it can't be Phyllis.
That's why, yeah.
That's our only 2 options because we have a vacancy. So, I mean, there's still a vacancy on that.
To say, yeah, it's vacant.
So I will just say, for the most part, whether
She's an alternate.
she's an alternate,
So is Amy as well, yeah.
Yeah, where's the alternate? So Amy went to
Because of
alternate
their-
because she's so busy with her son getting into college. And he's in college. She's not really-
You would think that would.
Yeah.
it doesn't help. Oh.
You would think.
So the chair, basically, I frequently contact the chair when we have items that are questionable as to whether a COA is required, just to make sure. And Lorraine and Susan have been very good at having that heads up of the application and contacting the people if necessary, the resident or the applicant when necessary. Vice chair supporting that role. Lorraine as vice chair has been our regular go-to for all things historic district or historic in town, generally speaking, regardless, just because of her inherent knowledge and you know, experiences throughout town for so many years. Then like I said, the clerk, it's basically there's not a lot of operational items to do once a year for a check over and unless something else comes up. Again, they're all listed out in the historic district regulations and what each position does. So if you want to have a different vote in an upcoming month, I would say that's also an option. If somebody says they really can or can't handle something, then you know, you resign partway through and start over. Yeah.
You know, a lot of what takes a lot of time is like, you know, I'm always waiting for Susan to get the calls, like asking our opinion about things,
Yes.
or can you talk to this woman or something? And I know a lot about the history of this town, and about styles of architecture, everything, but I'm not a carpenter. I've never done any hands-on carpentry work, or anything, and that's why I rely on, you know, you guys. You have a lot of that kind of experience, so.
Well, certainly, if anyone ever called like that and felt that there was another member of the commission who could offer better insight, we would certainly. Call Bill.
Well, we've done, like, just to tell Dan that, like, we can't have more, if you're visiting a homeowner, you can't have more than 2 of us there, or it's considered a meeting that has to be posted legally.
Yeah,
Everything.
yeah.
So we've gone places like where we've split up, like with that barn at 991.
That's how we got all the pictures, because people went like 2 at a time from the commission to go look at it so that you're on an on-site visit of any problems.
That's what it does.
Yeah.
Yes, all the way down.
Oh, yeah, you and I went. They still have their slate room. That's the only slate room.
So anyway, right now you have those two nominations you can vote for. You can decide your delay.
All in favor?
Let's see, okay. We vote on everybody at once. Like,
You can, on the slate of officers.
the slate of officers, Lorraine Stubb, reelected chair. Herb Watson, reelected vice chair, and that's all we've got. So, everybody in favor?
Aye.
Well, that's actually kind of
That's what
nice.
happens when you discuss.
And
Is it?
then you need a motion to adjourn, if
Oh,
that's what you
Do I
decide
have
to
a
do.
motion to adjourn? Or is there anything else I'm doing? The motion to adjourn, second,
Aye.
anybody?
So voted.
It is 9:39.